Well, hey there everyone, it's Kris from the Rate the Record podcast, and you know exactly what time of the week it is. It's Tuesday, at least when this video comes out, and that means it's time for me to look at 3 more songs and tell you all about them and my feelings about them, and then you can tell me your feelings about them. That's a working title, isn't it? No wonder everyone hates me. The reason they hate me. No, I wish I was covering Daughters. That's not happening on today's show, but I do have 3 tracks to look at, so let's dive right into them. First up, we have a project by the name of Darko, and Darko happens to be the brainchild of Emir drummer Josh Miller and Tom Barber, vocalist of bands like Chelsea Grin and Lorna Shore. Now, I'm not looking over at my script over here. There's no script. It's all at the top of my head. Don't worry, I'm good with this. The band's been dropping some new singles lately, including the latest single, Come Home, which released back on March 11th, and it features Rory Rodriguez of the band Dayseeker. It was also released as a music video, so why not check it out? Not having heard Darko before or any of the bands that each of the members had come from, I feel like the song is already kind of playing with my expectations a little bit. You have these dreamy soundscapes that start out the song that build into this very generally relaxing indie rock kind of number, I guess. Everything is very airy and spacious just to help to get the verse going. You have this low running bass guitar in the background, which I think is excellent. It sounds great and it keeps a good stability for the entire track moving forward. And as much as I was enjoying these first couple of minutes of like these serene feelings and just really nice sounding music, suddenly it all gets shaken up when you get these screaming vocals kick in. And I definitely have to say they aren't any of the better screaming vocals I've ever covered on the singles reviews or in the podcast. Eventually the song morphs into this emo, metal, dream pop kind of concoction, consumption, whatever you want to call it. I'm honestly not sure. That's what the song kind of turns into. It's not that it sounds bad. I kind of dig the sound of it, but the problem is there's nothing really worth noting at this point. The song fades out with these lo-fi guitars and like a synth to back it up as well. There's an audio vocal sample thrown into the mix there, and that's how the track ends. It left me feeling like I had just listened to 2 different ideas for a song. Overall, I wasn't really digging this one. Not for lack of trying though, I did listen to it a few times to try to grab onto something, but unfortunately I couldn't. But maybe you did, maybe you feel differently, so please let me know how you thought of this song. So second up on the list, we have the band Alexisonfire. Yes, Alexisonfire is back. That feels really weird to say in 2022. But here we are getting a brand new track, Sweet Dreams of Otherness, that just dropped back on March 10th, and it is the teaser to their recently announced full-length album, Otherness, coming out this June. Keep in mind too that this is the band's first full album going to be coming out in June since 2009's Old Crow's Young Cardinals, which was still an amazing album, by the way, don't get me wrong. But let's see after all this time if they still have a leg to stand on. I don't want to beat around the bush on this one, so I'm just going to start the review plainly just by saying I really dig this song. It kind of feels like an outtake from Cardinals, but it's still really well done. The production on this track too I think is really great because there's something of a grittiness to it that kind of really shows the age of these musicians, which is also fitting considering that these are hardcore musicians who have been around since the early 2000s. With that said, both singers, George Pettit or George Petit, I'm not sure which one he goes by, regardless, lead singer, George Pettit I guess, and Dallas Green, who also does rhythm guitars, still sound really good after all this time away. Granted, Green has been busy keeping his voice up to par over the last decade with his own solo act City and Color, but still, there is such a great energy in this track without having to go too far into overcomplicating things at all. The entire track rides on literally just a few notes and chords, but it's all about how you use those few notes and chords. There's a lot of intensity going into the chorus as well, and just the chorus overall. It gets me really pumped to listen to it. It's amazing what they can do with so little. If this is what we have to expect from the upcoming album, then sign me up. Sign me all the way up. And also worth noting too, the fact that this song is 4 minutes and 44 seconds, and it doesn't feel anywhere near that time, really ups the replay factor for me, so solid thumbs up for that. Just a really solid Tringle, really solid Tringle, whatever. It's a solid single. It absolutely is. Finally, we have the band BODEGA from New York City, so not to be confused with the band BODEGA that existed in the 90s and early 2000s in Canada. No, it's the American one who's more recent. They just released a brand new album back on March 11th called Broken Equipment, and they do have a lead single from that album that I'm checking out today called Pillar on the Bridge of You. This one feels like a fairly run-of-the-mill, like indie pop rock track, like right off the top. You have a very catchy rhythm, very easy to understand lyrics, a very good consistent pacing through the entire track. I mean, all the telltale signs are there. Granted, that could be in any song, but I mean, definitely an indie pop rock type thing. You can definitely hear that stuff all the time. I felt like this one was especially lacking in anything too memorable. Like, even the chorus just felt like a variation of the verse, and I know, again, that can happen in a lot of songs, but this one's just nothing too different happening, so There's a lot of layering in this track, way more than I had originally heard, so the more I dug into it, the more I heard. And I can appreciate stuff like that only because they're trying their best to like really fill out the soundscape, so I can appreciate the effort. It would have just been better though, and probably more exciting if there was at least one of these sound layers that was adding a lot more new flavor to the song, but just everything just melded together, made it kind of plain. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot more for me to say about this song because nothing really stands out enough to make note of or worth talking about. The good news is, with the simplistic and catchy nature of this track, I wouldn't doubt for a minute that you could probably hear this on some indie station somewhere, so at the very least it sounds like it can get radio exposure. But unfortunately, I'm not into this track. Maybe you are though, so again, let me know what you think of this one. And those are the 3 singles that I have for today, so thank you very much for watching this video. And if you like these ones, make sure you go watch Savannah's video as well, as she has 3 tracks of her own that she's reviewing this week, and I'd be willing to bet they're probably pretty damn solid, so yes, absolutely go check out her video. And if you just can't get enough of us, you can always check out our podcast, the Rate the Record podcast we have every Monday right here on the channel, on YouTube, and all the other audio platforms as well. We release a brand new episode every Monday, and the most recent episode we just released, episode 27, is Kevin Gilbert's album Thud from 1995, and speaking of Savannah, it's one of her absolute favorite albums, so we finally got to take a look at it. She was super excited. How did we rate it? You'll have to check it out. Don't forget to follow us on all of our socials at Rate the Record Podcast over on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Just Rate the Record over on Twitter because they wouldn't let me make the name long enough. Boo. And you can also support the show as well. I mean, you could already do that by liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, all that fun stuff. It's fantastic and we really appreciate it. But we do have a financial way to do it if you so wish. Ko-fi.com/Rate the Record. It's completely optional to do, and we are looking to add more incentives though to the Ko-fi page. So by all means, check it out if you are curious. Link is down below if you want to see it. There you go. Don't worry, all the content's still going to be free. The singles reviews, the podcast itself, most of the bonus shows that we're doing, all still free. Don't worry about it. It's just an optional form of support. All of these links and more can be found in our link tree, which is down in the description below and on the screen right now. linktr.ee/Rate the Record. It's there. Type that in, or just, again, click the link in the description. It's all good. And that's all I have to say for now. So once again, thank you very much for watching. And until I can see you again next Monday, have a fantastic week. Take care, friends.